You're watching Footy Fantasy. It is your steady thing will meet your football needs. Banter from rivalries, he sure you go receive. From EPL to Champions League, your eyes go see. It's Footy Fantasy. You're watching Footy Fantasy. Footy Fantasy. It is your steady thing will meet your football needs. Your football needs. Banter from rivalries, he sure you go receive. From EPL to Champions League, your eyes go see. Your eyes go see. It's Footy Fantasy. Footy Fantasy.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Footy Fantasy podcast. We're here to kick off the EPL season. We kicked off the football season last week with some intros. And we're here this week to start with the English Premier League. It's been a juicy weekend. There's been a lot of, good things and bad things, depending on your point of view. But first of all, let me introduce the podcast. It is Footy Fantasy Podcast. We're here weekly, same time, give or take one, plus or minus 1 hour. It's Footy, Footie, Fantasy on YouTube, on Instagram, and on Facebook. However, on Twitter, it's a bit different. It's Footy, Footiead, Fantasy. Just a little bit of an addition there on Twitter. But every other thing stays the same. And we are here every week, like I said. We do our best to keep it real with football. Today, I'm with two guests, and they're going to be here to, try and cry or laugh. You can see I'm crying, mate. You can see I'm crying. And I'm trying to get myself up because I know there's going to be a little bit of roasting of me on this podcast. But, let me let them take it. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves but tell us the clubs you support. I know the clubs you support, but remind the viewers where you're watching from and what clubs you're following, please.
Sure, I can start. My name is Raji, Oludemilade Raji, and I'm a Newcastle fan. And as my name states, we're in transition mode. We'll see where this season goes, but the first game is not much to be talked about.
All right, so my name is Henry B. Token, Arsenal fan. Thank you for having me, and just looking forward to a great season.
Thank you, guys. It's good to see you guys again. Since we last saw each other, it's been quite a different, what I'll call different mood. Last time I saw Raji, he was so boisterous. I remember he was telling me about how Newcastle were looking so much better than Man United and blah, blah, blah. And, I remember that period. And then the season didn't end so well for them. It's actually looking not too good with Eddie Howe leaving and all of that. But we'll get into that. But I think the mood around Newcastle is not as great as it was beginning of last year, even 2 years ago. It seems to be going down. And he might tell us a little bit about that. On the opposite end of it, Henry is in bliss, almost in heaven, almost touched heaven with that Champions League, but it didn't happen. But, they got close enough to heaven. And why I'm saying close enough to heaven, because they already had the EPL trophy, was something they've been looking for 22 years. And then they're almost going to steal something they've been looking for 100 years. In the same year, but it didn't happen. I know they're feeling great, and the future is looking so wonderful for them. I think they're beginning to, come out with their chest. When they're coming out of the house, their chest is coming out first. That's what we see first, because their knees and their heads are so big right now. But congratulations to Arsenal for winning the Premier League. I don't want to be a sour guy, even though I'm hating. I'm feeling very bad about it. But let me first of all say congratulations to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, bro. You're welcome, bro. I hope I won't tell you. You're not welcome for many happy returns. Just you're welcome for this point. So we're going to go into it. Let's dive straight in. We'll start a review with the champions. And looking currently like the champions elect. Already looking like them boys are hungry. it's usually the hardest thing in football to win a game. It's not the easiest thing to do. So, talking about the Arsenal Coventry game, what you learned from it and how you feel about the rest of the season. Are you that confident? Do you think you're gonna do a repeat, Henry?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the next phase for us now. I mean, one of the hardest things to do in football, if you remove the Guardiola era, is actually to win, your league back, back to back. It's not an easy feat. I think the guys or the boys are, in a good position. I think we have probably like, if they can get like two more signings, I think we should be good. They already did one, so actually maybe one more signing. They already got. A replacement for the center back, which is Saliba, who's out long term, who can also with a player who can also service, the right wing, which is Konsa. So that's a good pickup. I also feel like they probably need either if they either keep Martinelli and get another nine, or they let Martinelli go and get a left-sided player. So just to back up Christian Solis, but either one of them I think is the last piece they need because they need depth. I think this season is probably going to be a season that might be plagued with a lot of injuries just because of the World Cup and the amount of soccer a lot of these players have played over a period of time. So I think the clubs that would do well this season are clubs that probably have stocked up in depth, where you have either one player that can play one, two, three roles, um, and there's no significant drop in levels, right? So that's what I think. I think Arsenal has done a decent enough job on that front, excluding that left and probably the attacking position. But the game against Coventry, obviously it's a good, step in the right direction. On one end, I'm cautiously optimistic. The reason why I say cautious is because it's still Coventry, right? You don't want to get overly enthusiastic because you beat a club that is just coming back into the Premier League. It's probably going to take them a little bit of time to get into the rhythm. But it was a good win, a necessary win because again, there will be banters and chats around.
If you did not win it,
Yeah, if we didn't win. Also, the main thing is, Arsenal for now, it doesn't feel like, they're going to be like chasing. Now they've kind of tasted, how to win with this crops of players. So that belief should be there because that's the main barrier. So hopefully they can surge on from here. But overall, a good clean sheet. I think we saw a few players that kind of were very impressive. The scoreline itself was impressive. The business they've done so far, there wasn't like drama. They didn't overly exert themselves. They were able to rest key players towards the end of the games. But I think overall they controlled the tempo of the game. But again, it's just because of the opposition they met. If they probably met a stronger opposition, maybe results have been different. But you can only play who's in front of you. But overall, it was a good game, and happy they got the W.
that's good. That's a fair one. There's something you said that I want you to elaborate a little bit more on, and then we'll go to Raji for Raji to, maybe piggyback or push you back. You said that the teams that are going to do well this season are teams that, stocked up in debt. And then I looked around and I thought, what is he talking about? Is he talking about teams that are going to challenge for the title or teams that are going to get top four? Because we're talking about two different, to me, levels now. I think there are two teams that are challenging for the title. It's Arsenal and maybe Man City. If Man City is not that good, it's mainly Arsenal. Liverpool would have been in that area, but Liverpool are a transition team right now. They're kind of been a transition team now for 2 years, kind of transitioning from club. Man United are not in that level. Chelsea, we don't know what Chelsea is. The rest of the teams are not that level, with all due respect to Aston Villa, Newcastle, Spurs. Like, we cannot start talking about the teams that are going to do well when we're talking about Arsenal. That's what I'm saying. So, am I right in saying that Arsenal's main challenger this season is themselves and Man City? Which actually kind of tells you that Arsenal are favorites because Man City are also in the transition. So, over to you.
Yeah. No, that's, the main challenge for Arsenal actually this year will be complacency. Again, because everybody's in transition. Let's even talk about the other top clubs. Either they're having a change in positions in terms of head coach, right, which is going to significantly affect the way and the philosophy of playing. Either for Man City, you don't lose a player of Rodri's caliber and think you'll be the same. So, in as much as we also think Man City would miss Rodri. I don't even think. I think Liverpool, in my own opinion, are probably even more, because I feel like they're gonna try to correct the mistakes that they've made. Remember, their coach tasted victory before. Now he's had enough time to put an imprint on the team and get the players he wants in. So I actually feel Liverpool probably should.
It's a new coach. The coach has been fired.
Oh, actually, yes. I forgot about that. Okay, yeah, it's a new coach for them too, actually. So so that's what I'm saying. So the main thing Arsenal is going to face is really complacency, and also the fact that I think Arsenal is going to make up. I think they're going to try to shift their focus more on the Champions League now, which I think the thing that they should do this season is try to go double, try to win the league, if they can, because they have all what they need, and then maybe try to go for that Champions League. But complacency is what my setting. But I still think injury is going to play a key role. As you can see, we're already starting off, without a key defender that played a major role in, helping us attain, that victory. But yeah, complacency will probably be the biggest obstacle, and you can never know, right? You can never know with teams in the EPL. But there'll be teams that will show up, but Arsenal has the upper hand.
Okay, that's a good one. I like your comment. You're kind of trying to stay humble. I like it when people come here and are humble, because then it makes my job easier for me. Ogafande left a comment where he says, Zaza, Arsenal is the only person that can stop Arsenal from winning this league. Raji, is this a fair comment, or do you think we're underrating other people by trying to put Arsenal in a league of their own this season?
I think there's a good point he made about depth. And when you lay out Arsenal's team on paper, you guys are one of the most deep teams when it comes to setup for the Premier League. So on paper, you guys are definitely the people to look at. But I don't think the Premiership ever plays in the same direction as you see on paper. I know everybody feels like Arsenal is going to win, and you hear a lot of things, but I don't entirely think that we can call the season yet. We're seeing the paper documentation. You can only feel that there is so many players on the field at a single time. And we haven't seen the effect of the Champions League yet. This is just the beginning of the season. And I can't really say there's much we can take from playing Coventry at this particular time. I will say that if you gave me a crystal ball, or should I say crystal ball? If you gave me, put me on the spot and said I should choose who is going to win this season, I definitely will say Arsenal. But if I have my gut feeling, and I usually go with my gut feeling, and it's sometimes wrong, for 21 years it was right. We all assumed Arsenal would be second, eighth, seventh. But last year it was wrong. So, every once in a while your gut feeling is wrong. I would say that, Arsenal has the strongest chance of winning the season, but I also don't think that we should write off teams like Manchester City, which you haven't, but I also think that there could be teams that could surprise you this season. Leeds had an incredible off-season. I don't think they're in the conversation, don't get me wrong, but they could definitely provide a lot of upsets. We've seen upsets already this weekend, and I think that this season is going to be a transitional season for all Premiership teams. So while we may see a scenario where Arsenal had that long run like they had, we could also see a season where Arsenal goes to a combo of smaller teams and sees their whole formation break. So I don't know. The real solution to this particular question is I don't know. And I also disagree with Oga Kwame's particular perspective that Arsenal is the only one that can stop them from winning the league. I think more teams can. And I think that after winning the league for the first time, I do think that Arsenal is in a stronger position to win it again.
The reason why this always comes up about multiple wins is it's actually stated that the first one is hard, but the second one is harder. Because what always happens with the first one is that you spend so much energy climbing that mountain, and you get on top of the mountain, and then you realize you have to climb another mountain. But sometimes the players have spent so much energy and they were not anticipating the second mountain. They were expecting a plateau. And then they get there and then they forget that now you got all the targets on your back. Everybody wants you. You're the main star. I'm not saying that it can't be done. I'm not saying that Arsenal is, not good enough. I'm just saying that, there's a fair point in what you're saying that other teams can. But why the bigger problem is Arsenal is that how much more energy or motivation does Declan Rice, just picking him as an example, have to keep pushing? He's pushed the whole year, pushed through the World Cup physically. You can see he's tired and he's still pushing. How much, because there's a point when your mental is now affecting your physical. Last season it was easy to forget that I'm tired because I'm chasing this title. Now I've got it. And I took a breath, it was a sigh of relief. Then you want to start again? It's that restarting the motor sometimes that can be hard. So go ahead.
Let me counter that point a little bit. I think mostly I get the point you're trying to make. But the difference is, and I'm not an Arsenal fan, I will never be an Arsenal fan. I think they smell. I kid. But I think that the most honest reason why this probably is not the case is that they've strengthened, and the dynamics within the club has changed as a result. So they didn't bring people who would be sitting on the bench. They brought really, really good players to strengthen the positions that they could have been weak in. These people they bring in are going to be challenging people that were already there, which brings in a new energy that will force the team to continue to grow. So I understand the point that you're trying to make, but I feel like the manager has thought about this and brought in reinforcements to try to address that particular concern.
That's a good one. That's a good one. The comment here from Ayo, he says Arsenal will win the league. City will challenge a little, but they will fall off. That's what I expect too. This will be the lowest point title win since Leicester's win. I agree with this point. And there's something you said about, Raji, you said that this is a transition season. I'm going to use this to segue into our next segment. What I feel is that if you watch this weekend, there were a lot of upsets, not because some of these new kids on the block or the lower, what we call the lower ranked teams got so much better. No. What technically happened is that a lot of teams, especially the higher ranked teams, had a segmented preseason because some players only came back 2-3 weeks ago. Some players are tired from the World Cup. So this has actually, some teams have not really trained together that long, while other teams have been training for 6 weeks. So it might be another month before the real big teams with the larger squad get established and get going, if you want me to put it like that. Whereas the other teams, like you see the Brightons that have been in camp for 6 weeks, had a few players at the World Cup, they came and they're all kicking off running. Now, what we're going to do is, I don't think there's too much to talk about. I'm not trying to skip it. I'm not trying to skip the Man United game. But I think it's better we talk about the Newcastle-Liverpool game and then use that to talk about the rest of the weekend, the Man United game, the Brighton game, because if we start talking about, there's not too much to talk about. It's just the first week of the season, and we're only talking about what we think is going to happen. So what do you guys think? I think that's what we should do. Wrap it all up in that segment. Do you agree?
In a sense, to be honest with you, if you want to actually consider it, there's really not much to talk about with any of these games that we watched this week, because this is never a full picture of what your expectation is going to look like. I will say that the Manchester United game was very disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily, I mean, given that you heard all the points that you made, I feel like Manchester United still should have done better.
Oh,
Um,
definitely.
I I don't I don't think that, despite the fact that they were playing against Hull that has been training together for such a long time, the the quality that Manchester United should have still superseded it. We're talking about a team in the Champions League. We're talking about a team that is going to be playing week in 2 to 3 games every week. And this was a point that they couldn't afford to miss out on. Having said that, the Newcastle Liverpool game is a game that kind of encompasses the whole transition phase. Both teams have new managers, both teams have new players and a new style, and both teams probably will need another 2 or 3 weeks of playing to be able to fully reflect what the manager is saying or is trying to show on the pitch. There's a contrast that we saw today where Newcastle was coming in and playing a little bit more direct. And usually, I mean, under Eddie Howe, we don't play as direct as this under Eddie Howe, to be fair. Um, but one of the things that I will say is that the core of the middle was a little bit stronger this game. And for the first time in a long time, we're playing with a real, not a real, but an auxiliary number 10. So Wissa was playing the number 10 role. And this has been Wissa's best game for Newcastle throughout the time he's been here. And we saw a lot of transitions, a lot of changes in the direction of play, because the new coach was has already stated that he doesn't care about possession or controlling the game. What he cares about is the transition and how we move at the point of transition. And I think that we saw some of it in this game, but I don't think that we've seen the best of Newcastle. And I don't think we've seen the best of Liverpool. It was an emotional game. I think that Newcastle fans finally got to say what they feel about Isak, and Isak got a chance to play in the cauldron, which was good for both parties because now I don't think the next time Isak comes to St. James Park is going to be as crazy as this, but I think that both parties needed a chance to vent. I'm not particularly interested in Isak. He's a Liverpool player now, but I also want to state that everybody has written Newcastle off at the beginning of this season, but Newcastle can be an underdog with the players that we're getting. If all talks are right, we're going to be getting Nico Gonzalez sometime this week, and we're going to be moving away from how Eddie Howe plays. We're going to have a number 6, a number 8, a number 10, and 2 wingers, which is entirely different.
So you're going to 4-3-3?
Eddie Howe used to play 4-3-3.
Okay.
This coach is playing 4-2-3-1.
Okay.
And he's looking to play with a real number 10, a real number 6, and a real number 8. And then the wingers are very dynamic. They play inside or they transition outside based on the situation. So you saw a lot of situations where Dedic was in the front. We saw a lot of situations where Lewis Hall was in the front. I think that a lot of these things are still in play. Liverpool couldn't handle it today. I think that the penalty was soft, but I think that we can't really say much about this season from this first game. It was a good first weekend. It was easy to laugh at Manchester United, especially. I was very happy to see them lose. But it's still the first week. Aston Villa lost 4-0. I don't think that this Aston Villa is in trouble at all. So yeah, that's my overall take.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll come in here, Harry, and then Harry, you can reply or someone vote of first. I think why I said that, I wasn't talking about Man United in particular. I wasn't trying to make an excuse for Man United. I was just saying that there was this thing where it looked like Ipswich got a win, Hull got a win. Um, Brighton trashed Aston Villa. Man City almost lost. They actually only came back in the last 10 minutes of the game. They were not that good. And so I looked at it and it looked like a lot of teams were off. Only Arsenal seems to have really been firing this weekend from the big teams. I mean, Chelsea's playing tomorrow. If you still consider Chelsea a big team. So I just felt that I was trying to say this might be the trend. This might be what's going on. There might just be some growing pains coming out of convoluted summer. I wasn't making an excuse for Man United because I think it's a very disappointing period. The Man United issue is big. It's a case of where if we're not careful, we might end up having a situation that the fans will turn on the management again, not the coach, but the guys higher up. You've not really spent money. It seems you've been buying what you call you've been buying second rate or second choice. With all due respect to Santos, Tillemans is a top player, but he wasn't the player Manchester United fans were expecting. You still need a left back. You haven't signed one. There's this case of this guy tends to be penny pinching. You get my point. Every other club is dropping 80 million, 90 million, 100 million for players, and you're looking for where you can spend 40 million, 30 million, and you're Manchester United. With all due respect, you are still the gold standard of the EPL. You are still the richest club in England. You're still generating some of the most funds. The reason you're not generating as much as Liverpool and Man City is because you've not been in the Champions League, really. You go to the Champions League for a couple of seasons, you don't even need to go that far deep. You will overtake these guys again. So it's like the fans are seeing this club go, okay, are we just becoming a club that is servicing there? Are we becoming a corporation? That's what it's looking like, where it's like, how much is coming out for the shareholders? This is the problem with Manchester United, and this is something that when you turn around and look at Arsenal and look at Aston Villa, look at clubs around, looking at Liverpool, spending money, looking like they're looking good. You're going, this is not what we want to be.
I will say that
for Manchester United.
I would say that the old way of thinking about football is not the way we should be thinking about football. And Manchester United is looking in a market that they can't afford, honestly, because the amount of times they've been trying to get Lewis Hall from Newcastle is very, very irritating. You guys want to get Lewis Hall, but you don't want to pay the money for Lewis Hall. You're talking about a left back. You want the good left back. You want the established left back, but you don't want to pay for it. I mean, Manchester United needs to either grow with the world that exists right now or figure out how they're going to use all the money that you guys generate to get to the point that you want to be. Because I mean, you're talking about old things. You're talking about how much money you guys used to generate before. I don't think that is going to be what is going to save you. You guys are walking yourself into a trap. Manchester United is not going to do very well this season. You guys have not stocked up for Champions League, Premier League, all the cups that are in between, unless you guys are ready to drop out of everything. I can only see Manchester United finishing somewhere between 10th and 13th, unless you really spend money. So, it's an interesting time. We'll see where it goes. I cut you off, Henry.
No. I mean, I think, in my own opinion, what just happened, it was embarrassing for Man U. But it's not season defining just yet, right? We're just starting the season. But I understand the point you're making. Like you can't rest on your old laurels, right? You have to, sort of step up at this point because almost all the teams that are showing intent now, every team that is showing intent, including Spurs, by the way, that got spurred, they've put up money. So it's like put up or shut up. Like if you know you need someone, go get the player. Like that's just what the market is demanding at this point. The market is demanding outrageous prices for some, especially with EPL players. I think they're very overpriced at this moment, even compared because you can see what Rodri went for. Rodri went for what 70, 80 million. And look at how much that was paid for Rogers, that Chelsea paid for Rogers. Like, it's ridiculous sometimes, but that's what Man U would need. I think them getting Baleba is also a good step in the right direction. But I think Man U will be fine. I mean, I still think anywhere between that fourth to eight, we would still try and justify. I know Rachi says 10 to 13th.
8,
Harsh.
10, 8. Wow.
No, I think fourth to eighth is still very realistic. Um, but again,
They're playing with Maguire and Luke Shaw in defense.
they will figure it out. But that's the thing. I think now, sometimes you think you have until when you see. I think
What
what
you,
happened.
yeah.
I think what happened in that game is a reminder. I remember when Arsenal had a season like that where, we were going into the new season, and then after the first game we got smashed, and they were like, okay, yeah, we're not ready for and then they made purchases. The only problem is now the purchases you're going to make, they're going to be significantly overpriced, so you're probably even going to pay more than you should have had even you identified these targets earlier. Second to that too is, do the teams that want to sell this player to you, do they now have enough time to get cover
To
for the players
replace them.
to let go? So the appetite for them to want to release these players to you reduces significantly, right? So those are the issues they're going to be dealing with at this time. But I still don't think it's a season-defining, um, you know, game. Yeah, I think there's still a lot more games. But speaking about the Newcastle Liverpool game, to me, is just why we love the EPL, right? It's a lot of there was just chaos, a little bit of chaos, a little bit of drama. But again, most of it you can see that Newcastle were what seconds away from peeping the victory. Again, I didn't even watch. I didn't even know it was penalty. In my mind, I'd stopped watching. I'd assumed it was going to end 2-1, and I came back. I'm like 2-2, ridiculous. But the main thing is, I still see. Funny enough, I kind of agree, which is weird because I felt like Newcastle lost like the soul of that their team, and it seems after this game that they're actually going to, in my own opinion, maybe do more than I was expecting that they were going to do. Because I felt like, man, everybody went shopping at Newcastle this season, right? I think between Newcastle and Aston Villa, they probably are the ones that lost, and maybe Brighton now. They lost kind of like the soul of their team with the transfer market. But again, it looks like they can still turn things around, and for them to give Liverpool this hard time today, almost even getting the entire 3 points, I think it's kudos to them. But yeah, this season is going to be interesting and fascinating. But the main concern for Liverpool is that he exposed that defensive and physical side. They're going to struggle with that this season. You know how last year we saw that defense was shaky. The hope was that they were going to address it, but he still feels now after this first game, maybe it might be premature, but it feels like they're still going to struggle on that front.
Yeah. I think Raji's a bit harsh, but Raji's always harsh with Manchester United. He doesn't give us any quarters, and I get that. 10th to 13th is a little bit rich. But at the same time, Harry, you said 8, and that actually gets back to my original point that if you guys believe
I said fourth to 8.
Yeah, if Manchester United are in that region where they're around 4th, 5th for most of the season, looking like they can make top 4 and they miss it out on it, it's okay. The fans won't have that much angst. But if they are bubbling towards 8 and below, the fans won't take it. It's easy to.
2 seasons ago, you were 16th. Don't forget. 2 seasons ago.
But what happened?
And you were playing in Europa.
Yes, but what happened after that was, remember
you were not in Europa.
Give me a moment. Let me land. That season we finished 16th. We were in Europa. We almost won. That was the season Tottenham won Europa. Remember, that was when the crazy man was there. The season this guy got fired. The fans were not happy, but they swallowed because they thought Amorim was the guy. Then Amorim came and had the kind of season you guys are talking about, where he started and he was going up and back, up and down, and fans lost it with him. What I'm trying to say is that in this case, fans believe in Carrick, and it seems like the club is not backing him. That's why the fans were torn. It's not about that the fans are entitled, but the fans are spending money. This club is still in the top five, six money generating clubs in the world. So the fact that you're telling me that a Newcastle, the Spurs, and all guys are spending far more money than Manchester United is weird. I'm not saying that those guys shouldn't spend money or they don't deserve to spend money. It's just that it feels weird that Manchester United are the ones shopping like Brighton. That's why fans will not be happy. Because fans will come out and say, oh, you could have got this guy, you could have got this guy, you did not. People are already saying, oh, there was Sangare, there was this. So it's just that. And, that's what I feel. Ogafami left a comment saying, Man United will finish 10th or below. Okay, we're back here in April. Continue. Raji, so mark that. He says we won't have a good season, but we're not finishing below 10th. We're not finishing below 10th or below. Hater or she. I don't know where we're going to finish. I don't think we're going to have a great season. I think a lot of our players, Bruno Fernandes cannot play as good as he did last season. Rashford, I don't know what we're going to get out of him. And then you already mentioned the defense. There's so many parts of that team that is not good, so I don't know. But we'll leave it for the rest of the season. We'll move on. We'll see what happens. Let's talk about this. I think this is fair. Who do you think is going to be your breakout star of this season? You don't have to pick too many players. Just give me one player. Henry, we'll start with you. One player you think will have his breakout season.
Yeah, and this is just coming from preseason and the first game. For Arsenal, I think he's going to be Christos Solis. His energy, his directness, and obviously, it's not like we're just totally crowning him, but I think there's a difference in what we're used to at Arsenal on that left wing with Trossard and Martinelli. He seems a bit more direct. I didn't see a lot of back passes, right? Which was one of the things that was, still frustrates us sometimes with players like Madueke, even Martinelli, even Trossard back then. He seems very direct. Every time he gets the ball, he wants to attack. So I think that's a very, very good sign for us now. I think he's going to have a breakout season for us now. And that's what that's who I'm looking forward to.
Okay, Raji, what do you think is going to have a
breakout season? I think that my money is on Bazumana Torre. He didn't play today, but I think that on the left side of the Newcastle, he's gonna have I think that he can have as big of a season as Anthony Gordon had when everybody wanted Anthony Gordon. He didn't play today, and I'm guessing that maybe they are keeping him ready for the West Brom game. But I think that he could have a significant season. But a player that played today was Sean Sturr. He played in the midfield, and he definitely he didn't close his man up for Liverpool's first goal. But before that, he was spraying the ball left and right, and he was able to hold the game as an 18-year-old against Cody Gakpo and Gravenbach. So there are players who are very young at Newcastle, and we'll see where it goes. Those are the players I feel like. I think that Newcastle is going to be a surprise club this season. Everybody has written them off, but I do think that they're going to be extremely surprising.
We'll see. That's one of the beautiful things about football. We'll have a long season and we're going to all watch it play out. I don't think any Manchester United player, given that we don't have any young star, so I'm not going for Manchester United players. I'm actually picking two guys. One is new. He didn't play this weekend, but I think this is going to be his breakout season, especially given the manager he plays for. And it's Majo of Aston Villa. I think he's going to break out this season. I think he's going to give, what's his name, the striker of Aston Villa, Watkins. He's going to give Watkins a run for his money. Everyone's going to wonder at the end of the season, why didn't we sign this guy? Because now he's going to be another £100 million player in a couple of seasons. And then there's a guy who is not his first season, but he's not, but he's never really established himself, and that's Ngumoha. I think the guy is gonna replace Salah. He's gonna step up, especially now that he's seeing the mind just trust him, and there's nobody really on that right wing in front of him. He might really become the star that he's been saying he will be, or he's been expected to be. I think this is his season. I think he might be in this running for young player. These two players I mentioned will be in the running for young player of the season. Um, that's really it for me.
But does he
Before
the right plays on the left?
he actually plays up left, but it seems like today they played him on the right because this other guy is on the left. So it seems like the man has shifted formation. I'm sorry because I forgot the name of this guy that played left.
Munoz.
No, Gakpo. Gakpo played left today. So and since Liverpool has a little bit more what you call the competition on that left side than last year. So a lot of people that they have tend to want to play from that side. So it looks like he's gonna have that right wing if he really wants it. Okay. Those are my two picks. I'll take some quick comments. This is from Clan, built by Clan. He goes, "We sports spend so wow, we finally have a sports fan. We sports spend so much money on players with the same profile and see how it started. At times, it's not about how much. It's about what you spend, not how much. I think you should have some patience, Clan. I'm not saying it's good. I think it's bought too many players, but since you already bought too many players, you have to actually understand that blending them is going to take a while. It seems like 16, 17 for 2 straight seasons did not get that bad overnight. Spurs are a bad team. They're trying to grow out of being a bad team, and it's going to take a while. That's why they needed this many players. And you're going to have to blend these players together slowly. It's going to take another maybe couple of months. So they're going to have wild results, good and bad. But if they click, if the manager, I think the manager is good, if he gets them clicking, they should be in the top 10. But if not, it will end in tears. You all will cry. And then
I'm gonna say one thing about Tonali and Spurs. One of the problems that Newcastle had with Tonali last season was when Bruno was injured, Tonali could not get grips on the game. Bruno was a leader, and Arsenal signed him. Tonali couldn't control the midfield, and he always has his eyes out. They've signed him now for 100 million. And yesterday's game, what happened in the midfield? He couldn't control it. He couldn't control that midfield. For somebody with so much skill, so much, pizzazz, he doesn't know how to be a maestro. He's physical, but he can't control. And I think that that's going to be a problem for Tottenham. They've bought a lot of players that look good on paper. Are they going to be able to gel? And the coach was talking about the World Cup. Tonali was not at the World Cup. Richarlison was not at the World Cup. These people, we had full preseasons, and they couldn't do anything. So they don't fall into the same scenario as Brighton.
Yeah,
but it is what it is.
That's right. Kwame says great minds, and he says this because he picked the same player as Pete. He says, I think our Nigerian nephew Ngumoha will announce himself properly this season. So glimpses last season, but I think this season is a season. I believe so as well. That's right. Great minds think alike, bro. Okay, and finally, before we step out, let's wrap it up for this week. We're gonna do heroes and villains of the week. At least I'm not sure if we have heroes. I think there should be heroes this week, but I definitely know there's a villain this week. So, Raji, you were talking last, so I'll let you start.
I mean, the only villain I can think of is the FIFA president Infantino. And it's not just this week, it's just been the whole of this summer. I don't feel like I have enough. I haven't seen enough in the Premier League for me to be able to call. But I think maybe the referee, the VAR as usual, could be another option because that Liverpool penalty was a soft penalty. If there was anything that I had to say about the game, but as a Newcastle fan, I'm used to thinking we're going to win against Liverpool and seeing us lose. So drawing is a better outcome for me. At the 89th minute, some of the Manchester United fans were sending me messages saying we are going to finally see them lose, and I was saying this is Liverpool at Newcastle. We always somehow lose, even against 10 men. We lost 3-2. So this was a better outcome than I anticipated. So VAR is a problem. That's all I say.
The problem with this is I don't blame VAR because the problem is they did what they're supposed to do. And what I mean, what they're supposed to do is
They didn't
they can't
overcome the referee's
overturn.
decision.
They can't overturn his decision. They can only tell him it's a wrong. Direct him to he has to make the decision, and that's the problem here. So, I think the referee made a bad call. The referee should have actually let it go, then use VAR. But he was so convinced that he saw it, and once he's that convinced, there's nothing VAR can do unless they have a clear.
Fair point.
Yeah.
Fair point.
So you don't have a hero for this week?
I don't have a hero. I mean, the player who scored double for Brighton, probably. Forgetting what's his name.
Yeah, I know the guy. He has a very
Hazelwood.
Hazelwood, yes. Hazelwood, yeah.
The second goal specifically was pretty good, so I can imagine that game was pretty good. So yeah,
it was some good counter attacking. Harry, do you have any heroes?
Hero probably Soboslai. I mean, that's a pressure penalty, whatever way you think about it. Hostile St. James Park. So yeah, he'll probably for me, But again, he's used to wearing like set pieces, so probably hero. And then Manchester United set piece defending, specifically Maguire, is my villain. But for very well established reasons, because I don't know, man. That defending was interesting. Holding
it
was.
Yeah. My villain this week is Gomez. It's not. There's no way to put it, but to just call him stupid. It was a very stupid game he had. His first yellow card was silly. He flashed the referee a yellow card, and the referee gave him what he asked for. And then the red card, it wasn't the second yellow card, it was the red card, was stupid because it was a clean tackle. He was, he dawdled on the ball and the ball got taken off from his side. It was that guy at the next guy. There were two guys, and then he kicked out, he kicked the guy. And I said, man, in this age of VAR, people shouldn't be doing this thing. So he's my villain of the week. And my hero is also Hazelwood. But I think I should say that my hero is actually Brighton and Hove Albion. The Albions are what you call a club that has taught everyone else how to become established in the Premier League, how not to go above your budget, and how not, basically how to be stable. They're not a Newcastle, they're not Aston Villa, they're not, long-term Premier League stalwarts, they're not the big dogs, but they're not Burnley, they're not a yo-yo club. They are here, and gradually they're moving into the Newcastle Aston Villa level by just being there, being slow and steady. Every season they sell their best players. Every season they replace them with players that say, wait, why didn't we buy that one instead? They are the club that I love, unless when they play us, because they seem to always have it for big clubs, but they're a good club. I love them. I love their style. Then, and of course, what's the name? Brentford. That's another club that deserves, since I mentioned Brighton, they deserve to be called in this sentence. So my heroes of the week are Brighton and Brentford. Solid clubs, well-run clubs. Now, before I go, I'll take this last comment. Oga Kwame says my villain is Michael Carrick and entire Manchester United playing squad. That's a very good one. I think we can end it there. We can say the villains of this week of Manchester United for making their fans feel this way. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for
Sure.
watching. It's been a good week, a good weekend of football. It's like with every season, we're hopeful for the best and also hopeful for the worst for our enemy. I hope
Yeah.
Newcastle doesn't do well. I hope Liverpool doesn't do well. I hope Arsenal doesn't do well. I hope Chelsea doesn't do well. But I'm not wishing anyone bad. May players stay
You're
fit.
literally wishing us bad.
Hello,
I hope.
hello, somebody.
I can't wish you well, man. That'd be lying. But the only thing I'll say is that let everyone stay fit. Let's have a good season. May the best team win as always.
All
So
right.
guys, see you
Sounds
guys
good.
next week. Have a great
All
week,
right.
guys. Peace
Thank you.
out.
Bye,
You're
guys.
welcome.
Mhm.
Bye.
You're watching Footy Fantasy. It is your steady thing will meet your football needs. Banter from rivalries, he sure you go receive. From EPL to Champions League, your eyes go see. It's Footy Fantasy. You're watching Footy Fantasy. Footy Fantasy. It is your steady thing will meet your football need. Your football need. Banter from rivalries, he sure you go receive. Sure you go receive. From EPL to Champions League, your eyes go see. Your eyes go see. Footy Fantasy. Footy Fantasy.